I've been playing Geometry Dash for over 10 years, and after playing the game for so long, having to hear stereo madness over and over again has gotten really tiring. In today's world, it kind of feels like a ringtone or an alarm clock, or a food that you've eaten for a month and you just get really tired of it. So in today's video, I'm going to be remaking Stereo Madness's song, and hopefully we'll get something really cool out of it. Something else that's kind of funny, when I first started playing, I wasn't sure if I'd like the game or not, but what ended up intriguing me the most was actually the name of this level. It's such a powerful name. The beats will be crazy, but they really weren't that crazy. It's more just like a happy song, and I didn't really understand that. I think this part probably has the best bass. The first thing to do is probably make the intro. It has to be pretty empty. It has to have a lot of like squares. We could try using a square wave. And we'll drown this out with reverb. And we could try to figure out the BPM of all of the squares underneath the player. Some sort of percussion match that maybe. There, just a thing that runs in the background. Serum 2 open, we'll use a sine wave. I do think when we have the spike, there should be some bass, like... Yeah, that works. Also this here allows a little silence to be filled in. Something else I want to do to kind of flesh out this part is add bass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an LFO. An LFO is basically an oscillator that goes from being in one state to another, and then back. So what I can do is I can attach it to this knob, and then make it go up and down. Along with that, I'm thinking about this part in the level. I want to include some instrument to accompany that jumping. Messing with key shifts. I actually added a little more as well. Here's for the next section. I'll throw it up on screen. Final key change. And I'm also laying down the groundwork for the build-up with this nice chord change here. The best thing to do for a build-up, give it some really growly bass. And then if we layer all of the basses on top of one another, bring in this like drum and bass loop. I don't know if it's gonna work, but what will work is more layers. Switch the drum loop. Yeah, I'm happy with this. The real question though is where do I want to go with the drop? Because I could do drum and bass, I also could do something else. I'm just very proud of this build-up and how it syncs with the half blocks. But for the drop, I'm not too sure. We could do something with a lead. This would be like a melody that goes over the bass. Then to make it sound better, we can use a preset I have that I made called Jazzy Wave. Something I did with this, which is the reason that I keep coming back to this preset, is I made it so it has some effects when I turn this knob. Demonstration. Pretty cool. That's why I wanted to have it. And now we can introduce the actual synth. And it's going to be a little different, but still pretty much the same type of idea. This will be a very melodic drop. I'm kind of imagining making something like what a Cloudy Sky would usually make. Very muddy, but very cool. We'd have to give this a lot of layers. Add a kick, snare, and cymbals. This is not sounding bad at all. But now we have a new dilemma, which is the fact that this drop ends really early. So to fix this problem, I'm going to make a second lead, and it's going to transition into this lower octave. And then if we remove some of the hi-hats, it leads to a more toned down but continuous part. Now it's time to figure out how to make that green portal effect. Updated. I'm happy with that. Here's a drum fill. This fill syncs up with the gameplay here, how there's some spaces. And of course the only logical thing to do is bring the ARP back in. Could benefit from some background atmosphere. But it won't be an ambient part, there will be drums. Tweak the hi-hats so they have the right texture. And I'll just layer more on top of it until it sounds nice. And for the transition we can have a drum fill. And I'll bring the bass back in from the intro. Little flourishes. This will be for the triple spike. This could be very neat. This could be good for the stereo madness aspect of it. Then of course to switch things up, different key of bass. Something I especially like is that the ARP syncs to the little steps. Just fun. Yo, you hear that? We've made a lot of progress. In fact, we are almost at the final part. Of course, there are some final touches I'd like to do, though. Hold on, there's a sound there. Do you hear it? It's going like, boom! Oh, I need to make that audible instead of an illusion. Is it the pad? Yeah, it is. Okay, perfect. We can just modify it through there. Yes. And we'll just have it lurk in the background. Alright, it is time for the final section of this song. I want it to be slow, but also still kind of intense to match the spikes that you have to fly through. Pretty cool ambience. I wonder if we can play around with this. Ooh, Iota Mini always comes in clutch. I don't want it to end, no! Give it some more layers. We'll also work on this transition a little. EQ it out. Then we can give it some movement using an LFO to control the volume. And then to match the spikes in the ship part, we'll add distortion. Is it done? I don't know. Only way to find out, though, is to play. I've been working on this for like the past week, and I finally got the motivation to finish it today. Very, very, very happy. I wonder if I can pop everything out, and that way I can show you the colors I see along with the level on a split screen. I think that would be a cool way to show this. Alright, here we go. This is quite a song, I'm gonna be honest. It was a lot more original than I thought it would be. If you guys are interested in having me put it on streaming platforms, then let me know. You already know how. But of course I'll put it on SoundCloud and Newgrounds. There we go. And there's SoundCloud. The song is usable in Geometry Dash now, so if you want to, then... And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss another one of these. I do plan on doing more, hopefully sooner. But yes, that is all. Have a lovely day. And goodbye.